There is a document sitting in a government archive right now that you are not allowed to read. Not because it does not exist, not because it was destroyed, but because someone, somewhere made a deliberate decision that you specifically should never see it. And here is what makes that fact genuinely disturbing. This has happened before. Not once, not twice. 100 times across 100 different governments, across 100 different centuries. And every single time, without exception, the thing being hidden was not hidden to protect national security. It was not hidden to protect you. It was hidden to protect the people doing the hiding. Today, we are not talking about one conspiracy. We are not talking about aliens or flat Earth or staged moon landings. We are talking about something far more uncomfortable than any of those. We are talking about the documented, proven, historically confirmed pattern of governments hiding the truth from the people they govern. And once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. Every government in human history has lied to its people. Not occasionally, not accidentally, systematically, deliberately, as a matter of policy. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is documented historical fact confirmed by the governments themselves. Once enough time has passed and enough people have died that the truth no longer threatens anyone still in power. Here is the pattern, and it never changes. First comes the event. Something happens that the government needs the public to accept in a specific way. Second comes the management. Information gets controlled. Selected facts get released. Other facts get buried. The story told to the public is not false enough to be obviously wrong. It is just incomplete enough to produce the required response. Third comes the silence. Years pass, decades sometimes. The people who knew the truth retire or die. The political stakes change. The urgency disappears. And fourth, always fourth, comes the release. Documents get declassified. Archives get opened. Researchers find the files. And the actual truth emerges into a world that has already moved on, where accountability is impossible, where the people responsible are already gone, where the damage has already been done. This is not conspiracy. This is the documented operating procedure of every major government that has ever existed. Here is where it stops being theory and becomes evidence. Operation Paperclip. After World War II ended, the United States government publicly declared that Nazi war criminals would face justice. Privately, simultaneously, they were recruiting over 1,200 Nazi scientists, engineers, and intelligence officers, bringing them to America, giving them new identities, installing them in government research programs. The program was classified for decades. When it was finally declassified, the full truth was more disturbing than anyone had suspected. Some of the men given American citizenship and government salaries had direct involvement in war crimes. The public was told one story. The classified files told another. MK Ultra. Between 1953 and 1973, the CIA ran a secret program conducting psychological experiments on American citizens without their knowledge or consent. Experiments involving psychedelic drugs, hypnosis, torture, and psychological manipulation, conducted on prisoners, on mental patients, on ordinary civilians who had no idea what was being done to them. When the program was exposed in 1977, the CIA director admitted it had happened. The files that should have confirmed the full extent were destroyed in 1973 before the investigation began. We know what we know only because one set of documents survived by accident, misfiled in a financial records office where the destruction order never reached them. The Gulf of Tonkin. In 1964, the United States government told the American public that North Vietnamese forces had attacked American ships in the Gulf of Tonkin. This attack was used to justify full military escalation in Vietnam, a war that would kill over 58,000 American soldiers and between 1 and 3 million Vietnamese civilians. Declassified documents released in 2005 confirmed what some officials had suspected for decades. The second attack, the one used to justify the war, almost certainly never happened. The NSA's own internal historian concluded the evidence had been manipulated to support a conclusion that had already been decided. These are not fringe claims. These are not disputed facts. These are officially confirmed, government-acknowledged, historically documented case cases of, and these are only the ones we know about, only the ones where documents survived, only the ones where someone eventually talked. Run that through the survival filter. In ancient human groups of 30 to 50 people, information was survival. Knowing where the predators were, knowing where the food was, knowing which members of the group could be trusted was the difference between that group surviving and that group dying. And even in those ancient groups, information was manipulated. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer communities, the closest living equivalent to ancient human social structures, document the same pattern consistently. Leaders within the group control information flow. They decide what gets shared and what gets withheld. They manage the group's perception of reality to maintain their position within it. This is not a modern invention. This is not a product of complex government bureaucracy. This is a behavior so ancient it predates civilization by hundreds of thousands of years. The human capacity for organized deception at the group level is exactly as old as the human capacity for organized cooperation. They develop together. They are two sides of the same survival mechanism. Cooperation requires trust, and trust can be manufactured just as easily as it can be earned. Every government that has ever hidden the truth from its people was doing something your ancient ancestors did around a campfire 200,000 years ago. Managing information to maintain power. The scale changed. The technology changed. The bureaucracy became incomprehensibly complex. The underlying behavior did not move a single inch. Here is the question that matters. If these are the things we know about, the programs that got exposed, the documents that survived, the whistleblowers who came forward, what does that tell us about the things we do not know about? The United States government currently has over 5 million documents related to the assassination of President Kennedy that remain either fully or partially classified. The assassination happened in 1963, over 60 years ago. The official reason for continued classification is national security. Think about what that means for a moment. An event from 60 years ago still contains information considered too dangerous for the public to see. The British government maintains a classification system called the 100-year rule for certain categories of documents. 100 years. Some of what the British government did in the 20th century will not be available to the public until the 22nd century. Every major government on Earth maintains classified archives of information that the public will never see. Some of it will be declassified eventually. Some of it will be destroyed before that happens. And some of it describes things that would fundamentally change how you understand the world you live in if you ever read them. We know this not because of speculation. We know this because of what happens every single time a new batch of documents gets declassified. Every single time researchers get access to previously hidden archives, they find things that were worse than suspected, more deliberate than assumed, more systematic than anyone wanted to believe. The pattern does not lie. Here is the one truth that connects all of it. Governments do not hide information because they are evil. They hide information because they are human. And humans, in positions of power, facing pressures that feel existential in the moment, make decisions that prioritize their own survival over honesty. This has been true since the first leader of the first ancient group decided that the other members did not need to know everything. It was true in the courts of Egyptian pharaohs. It was true in the Senate of Rome. It was true in every monarchy, every empire, every democracy, every republic that has ever existed. The specific content of what gets hidden changes. The technology used to hide it changes. The justifications offered change. But the behavior itself, the deliberate management of information by those in power to protect their position, has never changed and shows no sign of changing. And here is what that means for you specifically. The single most powerful thing any person can do in a world where information is managed is to understand that information is managed. To read not just what you are told, but but why you are being told it. To ask not just what the story is, but what the story leaves out. To understand that the gap between the official version of events and the complete truth has always existed and will always exist. Your ancestors survived in a world where the most dangerous threats wore the faces of people they trusted. So do you. And that is the heaviest truth of all. Not that governments lie, but that they always have. And somewhere out there, right now, there is a file with your era's name on it. Sealed, classified, waiting for a world that has already moved on to finally read what really happened. The question is not whether the truth exists. The question is whether you will still be here when it finally comes out. Think about that. And if this made you feel something, not entertained, not shocked, but genuinely unsettled, then you are exactly where Primal Pages is meant to take you. We do not make content. We uncover what was buried. Subscribe, because the next one goes even deeper into the dark, and you need to be there when it does.